When I was a college student, I had the opportunity to go down to St. Lucia for a summer, and I lived with a priest down there, and I helped him. I did a little bit of tutoring and helping around the parish. One Saturday afternoon, we actually decided to go to the beach and enjoy the beautiful ocean. And I was out swimming, and I was kind of in an area by myself, and I wasn't really paying attention. I'd never, of course, been to that beach before. And all of a sudden, I noticed that I was starting to drift out further and further from the shore. And I was being caught in a riptide. And what would happen is that I would swim in a little bit, and then the tide would come back and it would push me out further. And because the water was probably about 6 or 8 feet deep at that point, it was over my head, so I couldn't stand on the ground and kind of hold myself against the tide that kept pulling me out. So I would swim as hard as I could in, and I'd get in about 3 feet, and then the tide would take me out about 6 feet. And I'd come in 3 feet and out 6 feet, and so I kind of began, in a serious way, to panic. The problem was the people on the shore who were ready to go kind of saw me waving and were kind of getting annoyed that I wasn't just coming in. As that riptide was taking me out further and further into the ocean, I became really, really scared. In fact, there was one particular moment that I remember very clearly when I was starting to get really, really tired, and I was getting further and further out, and I just knew that under my own strength, I couldn't get back. When not only did I think I'm going to die here, but I began to ask myself, do I just let go right now? Do I just stop fighting and allow the inevitable to happen? But it was then that there was one other person that was in the water with me, a priest, and he saw what was happening. And he was coming over, and I didn't really notice him coming over, but I saw him at that point coming over to save me. And he came in behind me, and because he was a bit taller and stronger and he wasn't quite as tired as I was, whenever the riptide was coming to pull us out, he would stand behind me and he would push against me to fight against that riptide, so that when it went back in, we could make some more progress. And slowly but surely, we were able to go against the tide and come to the safety, to the salvation of the shore. He saved me.
You know, Jesus has the respect of literally billions of people. Many people see him as a great teacher, an example of a greater way of loving people. Many people admire him for different reasons. But the real reason that Jesus came to earth was to save us from sin and separation and death. And I guess one thing we need to look at in our own lives is, do we recognize him as our Savior in a personal way? Do we realize how lost I, Josh, would be without him? Do we relate to Jesus in the same way in which Michael related to the priest who saved his life? Do we see Jesus as our Savior? Another thing we can ask ourselves is, are we comfortable with the idea of Jesus as, or am I comfortable with the idea of Jesus as my personal Savior? Or do I prefer the idea that Jesus saved the world, Jesus saved humanity? The reality is, Jesus would have endured the cross even if there was only one of us on the world. And the reality is Jesus died for me personally. Do I recognize that? Have I acknowledged that he loves me that much that he would have endured the cross for me?